I was doing a bit of preparation for today's talk. I was looking on the internet. It turned into a bit of procrastination, I'm not going to lie. But I was looking at examples of how bad data has impacted the world. And I came across the Chinese explorer Gang Ying, who in 97 AD was tasked with connecting the Chinese Empire with the Roman Empire. Now, Gang Ying traveled thousands of miles, and the only thing that was between him and his mission was the Black Sea. And he spoke to some local merchants, and he said, how long is it going to take me to get over that sea I see before me? And they said, they gave him some bad data. They said, it's going to take 3 years. 3 years, well, I haven't got that much time. I'm going to turn around and went home. From then, history to film, it got me thinking about The Matrix. Hopefully some of you have seen The Matrix. If you haven't, the main character, Neo, is presented with a choice. That choice being, does he take the blue pill or does he take the red pill? Now, the blue pill, Neo wakes up, nothing has changed, he settles for the status quo. Although if he takes the red pill will open up to the truth, although it might not be what Neo wants to see. And for us, a data-driven wellbeing strategy is a bit like that red pill. So it's going to improve your effectiveness, but it's going to show you some challenges, obstacles, people risk along the way. Now today, Jeanette and I would like to talk to you about some ideas and insights and how a data-driven wellbeing strategy can do a number of things, but it can help you improve your growth and your performance. It can improve your people risk through facing some of the challenges that we're facing in the UK today, and also provide you with some sustainable costs, although insurers are increasing in various markets. So moving on, are we ready? Big question, because in the next couple of slides, we're going to be doing a game of higher or lower. Hopefully you're familiar with that concept. So higher, put your hand in the air, lower, keep your hand down. But also I'd like you to think about in the back of your minds, are you ready? Are your organizations ready for what we're about to talk about? Some of the topics. Are you collaborating well enough and being proactive when it comes to well-being? So let's hit you with the first question. How long is the NHS waiting list? Bit of an easy question. Higher or lower? Higher than 7 million or lower? Higher. Okay. Oh yeah, like a bit of audience participation. Higher. Let's see what it is, Jeanette. It is higher, 7.57 million. Well publicised. That's NHS data that was changed last week. Thanks for REBA for allowing us to change the slides at short notice. But that data behind it, there's 6.2 million individual patients. Over half of them have been waiting 18 weeks or more. 300,000 of them have been waiting over a year. Now that's about 10% of the UK population, so the chances are there are people that we know, colleagues that we work with that are on that NHS waiting list. And although we are looking at probably the most publicised part of the NHS troubles, it does explain why people are turning more towards your company private medical insurance schemes, why absence rates continue to increase, and also when people can't get the treatment they need, sadly, they will pass away. And moving on, how is that impacting the benefits market? So part of my day-to-day is to help clients understand what's going on with the market. And my job is made a little bit easier at Aon because we do have some great data that tracks the proposed increases that holding insurers are offering at renewal time. So we track these increases and effectively we get a really good understanding as to what's going on with the market. And I'm going to try and explain to you very quickly what's going on in each of these. So what's causing the increases in group life? Well, the market is still recovering from paying quite a lot of claims during COVID. The waiting lists and people with serious conditions are not necessarily a good mix for life insurers, so they are a bit nervous. Income protection, it's a little bit more buoyant, 5% increase, not too bad. A sustained period of high interest rates are helping insurers make greater returns on their claim reserves. So it's good for now. If interest rates move down, we'd probably expect premiums to go up. And private medical insurance, where do I start? Okay, so 29% increase, and these are on average increases, by the way. Some clients, perhaps yourselves, have seen a lot more. So behind that data, Aon clients in 2023 have seen a 30 to 40% increase in their claims spend in 2023 compared to the year before. Why are there more claims? Companies are opening up their private medical insurance schemes. more people are claiming for perhaps lower cost claims. We're also seeing a higher utilisation. Utilisation on some schemes has increased by 50%. So it's probably not a surprise that these rates are going up. Now, I've completely flattened the mood of this presentation very, very early. So, Jeanette, is there hope and light from the wellbeing side?
Of course there is. So, we have seen an evolution in the wellbeing space, right? 10 years ago, chief wellbeing officers didn't exist. If we dial back to 2019, Vitality's BHW data showed that less than, the majority of companies had less than 20 health and wellbeing interventions. Their 22 data showed that actually 80% of companies now have over 40 health and wellbeing interventions available. So basically in COVID, we opened up our wellbeing cupboard and we packed it with everything we could. It was a scary time, right? Anything we could do for our employees, we were providing. Wellbeing 101, we went shopping. Now, not all one size fits all, right? So we were looking, companies now moving, they're looking at their wellbeing strategy. What I have in my cupboard, is it fit for purpose? Does it actually meet the needs of my employees? And now we're seeing an evolution and a development of wellbeing strategies, which is great, right? It's having purpose and it's being personalised to your specific groups. 2.0. Now we're moving to integrating that wellbeing strategy to your business outcomes. It's not a HR problem, wellbeing, it's a company responsibility. So when we did our survey last year, we asked the question, how many UK companies have integrated their wellbeing strategy into their overall business strategy? So of the companies that participated, how many of them do you think when they did their wellbeing strategy, they had an eye on their business objectives? If you think at least 50%, hand up. If you think less, hand down. Okay, it's pretty unanimous across the room. You're right. Only 29% of companies who did a wellbeing strategy had an eye on the business objectives for their company. Does it matter? Those in the audience who have a financial procurement hat on, you'll be pleased to know there's evidence coming out, a wealth of evidence around that return on investment, that holy grail. I pulled up an elegant study by Deloitte that came out last month. They were measuring wellbeing, return on investment around mental health. So they found reactive, so access to a mental health practitioner. For every £1 spent on that service provision, they reaped £4 back return on investment. The same when they looked at proactive wellbeing, mental health wellbeing interventions, looking at line manager training. Again, return on investment for every £1, they got £4.20 back in investment. But the aha moment, integrated wellbeing. At the bottom, organisational wide wellbeing, moving it from HR to the company culture. For every £1, they calculated £6.30 return on investment. So this helps justify why you want to move from one being 100 to 3.0. So how do we start? We've got so much data, we all sit on data. How do we use it? The Deloitte study used mental health as their goal, but you will have a different one bespoke to your own company. So maybe your aim is managing the risks that Niall touched upon earlier. Maybe you're looking to grow the company. So you have your wellbeing goal in place and you have a range of data. So we have lagging data. Now that's your absence data, information from your exit interviews. The problem with that data is it's after the event. The employee has left the company or they've gone off sick. It's too late for really effective interventions. So let's move ahead of the curve. Let's look at proactive data. And what we're seeing across the industries in the UK is a real focus on health screening, as well as introducing occupational health much earlier in the employee journey. Now, some of you might be scratching your head thinking, why are health and risk insurance claims proactive? Surely that's lagging data. So Niall, do you want to enlighten us?
Yeah, absolutely. Love lots of lagging data. If you bring lots of lagging data together and you aggregate it, you will get a good idea as your company's profile, but more importantly, it will start to identify the people risks, your challenges that you're facing, and give you a bit more of a holistic view. Now, we use a tool at Aon called Risk Forecaster. On the left-hand side, you can see some bar charts. They're effectively allowing a company to look at their claims exposure across all of their benefit lines and compare it with the benefit spend. But that's not all. As you can see in the 2023 column, those little blue sections, we're able to actually identify to this client that they've got a specific issue around cancer and health. There's a surge in that area between 2022 and 2023. And then on the right-hand side, we're able to talk to our clients about, well, what do you do if you sit on your hands? Sit on your hands and do nothing. What's a preview like of taking that blue pill and settling for the status quo? Unfortunately, your premiums are likely to go up. I've gone doom and gloom again. Right, there is some good news here, because establishing what the people risks are does allow you to target some key health initiatives as well. It does allow you as a business to perhaps have that case that you need to take a little bit higher. It provides you with the evidence to look at some interventions, so health screenings, or perhaps revamping the way you communicate benefits in the workplace. So it does churn lots of lagging data together and produce some really proactive outcomes that can then aid well-being too, I think.
Absolutely. So, are we ready to take the red pill? We want to go ahead of the curve. We've done proactive. We want to be in leading. Organisation, team metrics, we know has an established place in wellbeing. I want to look a bit about a wellbeing maturity index, wellbeing maturity curve. So it's quite complex, our wellbeing space that we all inhabit. How to navigate and get the best results. There's a plethora of research now, there's a plethora of products and services. So how do we navigate the best for our company? At Aon, we use a wellbeing maturity index. Starting off foundational, check the box exercise, some legal requirements are in place. Evolving to that reactive, proactive space where you're starting to use the data even maybe a reactive situation, or you're starting to build that strategy and some pre-planned tactics. And then evolving over to advanced and leading. This is where your data dashboards are now linked to your business objectives, and well-being is part of the culture, the DNA of your organisation. Now, it's great, you have a curve, but then you're like, well, where do I sit on this curve? So we use a wellbeing maturity index. Now, the beauty of this tool is it gives you a quantifiable, objective assessment of where you are on your wellbeing journey. It pulls across from the dimensions of performance, culture, your programs, your execution, and that forgotten child, communications. And by assessing and evaluating all those, you can have a space mapped on your curve from which you can then build your programs. And this is great because you can then see your progress, you can see your evolution, C-suite can see how your interventions are making a difference. The other area in Aon that we are looking to revolutionise is employee listening. We're very familiar with the surveys, the pulse surveys. Ask a question, there's a scale 1 to 5, how do I feel about something? A lot of thought, a lot of conscious decision making. At Aon, we have married this with an implicit assessment, a neurotech tool. So this bypasses your conscious bias and gets straight to your authentic feelings about a situation. So if you look at the graph, the black dots on my spider's web are the results from the traditional survey. So if you look at 1 o'clock, I have a good work-life balance. 70 plus, that's great. You could come away thinking, my company is in a good situation. But then look at their neurotech score. It's down in 40. They're struggling. Authentically, your employees are having a hard time. And that cognitive dissonance, the difference between the black and red dots, that's your stress in the workplace. And these are the areas you need to target. So having a neurotech partner, merging the two, gives you that authentic, holistic view of what's happening in your workplace. So we're talking about the different ways. We've moved it to forward thinking. And I always remember thinking of a story my mum used to tell me about perceptions, and it's about these blind elders in a village, and an elephant comes to the village for the very first time. So the blind elders think, okay, we are going to explore. They come to the elephant, the first elder touches the front. Oh, it's a spear. The second elder bumps up against the side of the elephant and thinks, okay, an elephant is just like a wall. The third blind elder encounters the leg. Oh, it's just like a tree trunk, and so forth. Each blind elder encounters a different aspect of that elephant. But it's only when they come together with their individual data streams that they can see the holistic picture. And that's what we're dealing with in wellbeing, right? We have our wellbeing champions, we have our finance group, we have our HR, talent and acquisitions. Everyone has valid perspectives and a wealth of data. Come together and we can have a really robust, effective wellbeing strategy. But so what? What else could we do with this wellbeing strategy now?
Well, for a moment, I'm just going to continue with the elephant analogy, because I think sometimes the insurance market might be looking at your businesses through the narrow lens of perhaps their claims experience or whatever is being presented, the absence data perhaps. So, and at the same time, they might have the fears around the NHS and absence costs in general. So what we need to do is really to work collaboratively together with yourselves and the market to really understand, like we said, those people risks, to put in place some interventions to manage those challenges. And then what we can do is we can really showcase you better to the market. And this is an idea of some of the on average final outcomes that we can achieve when we do this collaboratively and effectively. When we start looking at how you are addressing and acknowledging and forecasting your risks, when you are more acutely listening to your employees, even using neurotech, and when you're also embracing yourself on this journey upwards along a maturity curve, that will alleviate the fears of the insurance market, and they will actively want to partner with you. And this is some of the insight that we're seeing. So back to the final question for you to take away today. So if you're Neo from the Matrix and you're presented with the red pill and the blue pill again, are you going to be like Gang Ying and take the blue pill and settle for the norm? Or perhaps take the red pill, embrace the truth, manage your costs a bit differently, optimize value, and move towards Wellbeing 3.0. We're really grateful for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're on stand 38 and we're happy to take any questions in the remaining time.
We have got some time, and we've got some great questions on here. Can I ask you one to start with, which is the one that first came in from Eric, so thank you, Eric. Why is group life assurance costs rising so much? Is this higher mortality as a result of worse health after the pandemic and accessibility to the NHS service?
Oh, a bit of both. You've answered the question, I think, yourself.
Well done, Eric.
So, yes, higher mortality because of the years before, but they're also looking ahead. And those NHS waiting lists, unfortunately, will not give them insurers a lot of comfort. They will perhaps be expecting to pay more future claims until that situation is settled. And as we all know, that's perhaps not going to be settled anytime soon. So, yes, I think you answered it with the question, both of those reasons.
And so hope, with all the pledges that are coming through now about what's going to happen to the NHS in our elections, will life assurance start going down again, or?
Well, I think this is the point, is how you present your risk to the market. If you are doing great things to navigate around some of the NHS challenges, if you've got pathways, access to private medical insurance, if you're promoting interventions in a different way to your organisations, you should absolutely be telling a life insurance partner that as well, because that will help them realise that perhaps your staff are not going to be the ones that are going to be on the waiting list as long as perhaps they might be thinking.
Yeah, thank you for that, Niall.